So hi there, guys. My name is Lorali Diaz, obviously. I am this year's USOA Miss Minnesota for 2022. Super exciting. And I am here to share my scoliosis story with you guys today. So this is my scoliosis story. Again, I'm Lorali Diaz. Life before my surgery was very normal. Nothing out of the blue. Didn't have any back pain or anything like that. I was born and raised in Missouri, lived with my grandparents and with my mom. And everything, like I said, was just normal, and we never suspected anything to be wrong at all. So the doctor's visit that we went to, it was just a normal yearly checkup. We went in, me and my mom, and everything seemed fine. They told me I was a very healthy kid, one of the healthiest they'd seen in a while. And then all of a sudden, they told my mom they had to go double check something. So they went and double checked, came back, handed my mom some papers, and was like, hey, you need to go to the specialist and get this checked out. And I didn't know what it was at the time. Nobody really informed me, so I was kind of going into it blank. But on the screen, as you can see, I have my spinal picture of before my surgery, and it was at a 52-degree curvature. And then you can also see how it was twisted as well. And then the picture next to it, I decided to add in because my sister realized how scared I was and gave me her teddy bear. So I will always remember that. She was always supportive of me. And so once we figured out what was going on, we went to the Mayo Clinic, and they let us know you do have scoliosis at a 52-degree curvature. They said that I could wear a brace if I wanted to, but they were upfront with us and said it really isn't going to do much. It'll fix it for a small period of time, but surgery is going to be your best option. It definitely was scary when I first heard that, and whenever they told me it was the best option, I kind of had to put on my big girl pants and say, you know what, if that's what I gotta do, then let's do it. So we went into it, and I had my surgery at Mayo Clinic. I was 13, and these two pictures that I have up on the screen are right after my surgery. It was very scary waking up, I'll be quite honest with you. I did not remember where I was or anything like that, but loved Mayo Clinic, and every time I go back there, it's always good memories. So I was never super scared of it or anything like that. These pictures I have up currently are also pictures after my surgery. The one on the far right is my x-rays after my surgery with my 2 titanium bars and my 16 screws. And then my recovery, I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. I had family down from Missouri come visit me. This is my cousin Kylie. We've always been best friends. She stayed with me the entire time, and it definitely made recovery a lot easier, especially while I was still in the hospital. One of the cool things that they had there too that I thought was awesome was they had a little playroom. So we'd go there and play games after I was feeling better. And I actually had to relearn how to walk. So this picture right here is a picture of us walking down the hallway, me walking down the hallway for the first time after my surgery. Life afterwards was definitely a little bit of a challenge for a while. I had to completely relearn diving, which was definitely a challenge. But I did get back into it, which I was very, very happy about. And I joined color guard shortly after, once I hit high school. I was also on the speech team, and now I'm doing pageants. And like I said, I am United States of America's Miss Minnesota. So that is my scoliosis story.
Hey, so my name is Courtney. I was diagnosed with scoliosis in middle school, and I eventually had spinal fusion surgery when I was a junior in high school back in 2015. I loved hearing your story. It's honestly so inspiring, and I hope a lot of people can look up to you. My first question for you is, what was your first thought when you were told you had scoliosis? And then what was your thoughts when you needed to have surgery?
So when I first found out, I really didn't know what it was. I was 13, still very young. It was very, very new to me. Whenever they explained it to me, it was still sort of confusing because I myself physically didn't see anything wrong. So since it's inside and you can't really see that difference, I honestly did not know anything of what was happening until probably after my surgery. Then I really truly understood kind of what was going on. When was told I needed surgery, like I said, it definitely was very hard for me. It scared the bejeebies out of me, to be quite honest with you. I kid you not, I started crying in the doctor's office. And I was like, I have to get surgery. Like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be such a huge thing. And I definitely leaned more towards the back brace. In the moment, I was like, I really don't want to get surgery. If I could just make this easy, go with the back brace and get it done and over with, that's the option I want to choose. And then my mom talked to me a little bit more about it, and she was like, here's what really needs to be done, like explained it more of what was going on. And like I'd said before, that's when I was kind of like, I got to put on my big girl pants. And if this is what's best for me, then I need to go through it and do it. And I'll get through it with my family.
It was the same for me too. Like the lady came in and she like handed me a book and she goes, "Oh, here's a book on surgery." And then like that's how I found out. So like I'm like the same with you. I started bawling and I was like, "I how do I take this?"
Right?
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, I guess we're going through it." But my second question for you is, did you believe that scoliosis would change your lifestyle or future goals?
I definitely, when I was younger, I knew that there would be an impact, but I definitely didn't know if it was going to be negative or positive. And I think that's what scared me the most of what would the surgery change? What was I going to be able to do, not be able to do? Whenever they first started talking about it, they started off with all these things that I might not be able to do once I got done with my surgery. And that definitely affected my mindset about it a lot. Instead of being like, oh, hey, this is going to help you a lot and you're not going to have any back pain, started off with all the negative things. So I definitely went into it with a negative mindset, but as we can all see now, it turned out perfectly fine. And I'm very happy with going through with it.
I'm really happy you're so positive about it. And I hope, like, again, anybody who gets to read your story has that same positive mindset as well.
Thank you.
No problem. It's so nice talking to you.
You.
Hi, Lorali. I'm Emerald Fata. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I think it's really valuable for other patients to hear stories like yours. I found out I had scoliosis in third grade and I wore a back brace until I had surgery the summer before starting high school back in 2015. So I remember how nerve-wracking it was going back to school for the first time. So my question for you is, what advice would you give to other patients who are getting surgery for their scoliosis and are worried about going back to school afterwards?
So I myself, when I started going back to school, was very excited. It was very hard being cramped up in a house for almost 2 months and only being able to see, love my parents, but only being able to see your parents and your sister and your grandma. You're like, I need friends. And of course, we were in middle school, so nobody could drive to the house or anything like that. I was definitely scared whenever I wanted to go back as well. There was also that scared factor of, what are people going to think? What are people going to ask? What are people going to do? And I definitely had a lot of good experiences going back. I had a lot of friends who protected me. They would walk around in like a circle to make sure nobody bumped into me and everything. So I had some great friends doing that. Advice that I would give to somebody going back to school after surgery would be, don't be worried about it. If you walk into it with the mentality of something's going to go wrong, something's going to go wrong. You have to keep your chin up, think positive, and just remember that what just happened is part of you and it's nothing to be ashamed of or be scared of sharing with people. And a lot more people than they think are going to think it's really cool and are going to want to ask more questions and know more about it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I remember there were definitely like some scary experiences. Like I was nervous asking someone to like help me move my chair in class or something. There's
Yep.
things like that, but yeah, it's definitely helpful to have friends that know about it and can help you.
Right.
And so my next question is, what was it like going back to sports after your surgery? And did you face any challenges along the way?
Yeah, so right after surgery, the only sport I was really in was diving. Color guide I didn't join into, of course, until I got into high school. And I've always loved diving. but I had to relearn everything. It was very difficult because I then moved different from how I did before. Before I had the flexibility of my entire back, where when I went back, it was only my lower back that I had flexibility in. And it made it very difficult, not even just physically, but mentally of, well, these girls have the full flexibility of their back. They can do all these tricks and stuff like that that I'm not going to be able to do as easily. Unfortunately, throughout high school, that really got in my head, and I didn't excel in diving the way that I wanted to. One of the biggest ones was me hitting my back on the water. One of the dives we had to do was a reverse dive, which is where you stand on the edge of the board you walk forward, go off the board, and then flip backwards. And that always scared me like to the max, because there was a few times that we practiced and I smacked my back right on the water. And after that, I was like, I don't think I can do that again. What if something goes wrong? What if my back gets messed up and we have to go pay for another surgery or something like that? So I really got in my head about it. And looking back, I really wish I wouldn't have, because if I would have just taken the advice of my coach and just got up there and done it, I bet I could have excelled in that dive so quickly. But that was definitely the biggest challenge of not being able to move the same way as the other girls and not having kind of that advantage and having more of a disadvantage towards it.
It's great to hear that you really you still went back though, and you were able to experience it. And I'm glad that, it didn't stop you ultimately from like going back and like trying different sports.
Right.
Hi, my name is Noelle. I was diagnosed with scoliosis at the age of 11, went through bracing, and then ultimately had a spinal fusion with 2 rods, 19 screws when I was 14 years old. So kind of similar to you in the same age. So I have a couple questions. So one is, a lot of people with scoliosis, like you were mentioning at school, it can be a little different experience. And some people experience bullying. And I was just wondering if you had any experience with that. And if so, how did you overcome that? And did it make you stronger in any way?
Yeah. Unfortunately, when I went back to school, I did experience bullying. I've kind of always been bullied since elementary school. So it wasn't really anything new, as sad as that sounds. And it definitely made me stronger. I will say that. I had an instance where a boy in middle school actually purposefully tripped me in the hallway almost maybe a week and a half after I went back to school. I thought I tripped over my own 2 feet, thought of it as nothing, was like, okay, I'm going to go to the nurse, get it checked out, might have to go home today. Oh, well. And one of his friends actually came up to me and was like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Just tripped over my own 2 feet. And he was like, no, it was him. He purposefully tripped you. And there was a lot of people that actually talked about that for weeks afterwards. They would make fun of me for it. Pretty much because a lot of people knew I thought I tripped over my own 2 feet. They made fun of me for that. I had to bring a pillow to school actually for the harder chairs. It helped with my back and not sitting up against that cold hardness all day. And some kids would vocalize that to the teachers of, well, it's not fair, she gets to bring a pillow. And whenever the teachers weren't looking, they would try to take it from me, or in the hallways, they would try to tear it out of my hands. Another thing they did was I had to wear a over the shoulder kind of like purse, because the normal backpacks would hurt my back a lot. And a lot of students didn't like that either. And same with gym class. I couldn't do anything for gym class. I couldn't do anything physical for 6 months straight. So it was a lot of walking around the gym just the entire time, making laps or lifting little weights with my arms. And a lot of the students, like I said, vocalized that to the teachers in front of me and was like, well, it's not fair, she gets special treatment. And it's like, I had surgery, I'm recovering. Like, at the time, I didn't understand why people didn't understand that. And looking back at it now, I mean, we're all young, we all make dumb decisions, and sometimes we just don't fully understand stuff. So not only did it make me stronger as a person to kind of not let people push me around, but it also opened my eyes more of some people just don't understand what others are going through, and it just takes a little bit more explaining.
I'm glad that you can look back at that and kind of almost have forgiveness for those people because, it is important to understand that, people may not understand what's going on, but I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That's completely unfair. I don't think I went through as much torment as that. So I'm glad that you overcame that. My second question is kind of bouncing off. We were talking about having a pillow. I think that's a great idea. I don't know if I did that. I kind of wish I knew about that. But do you have any more tips of like comfort for people after their surgery?
Yeah. So the pillow definitely helped me a lot. Uh, I would bring it like anywhere and everywhere for almost the full 6 months after my surgery. It really helped a lot, but there was aspects of it where there was times. I remember one specific time we went to a restaurant just to go eat, and I hadn't gone back to school yet, but I would sit down and I had the pillow with me, so I was leaning up against it and I'd get really comfy, and I was like, okay, I can sit here for a long while. 10 minutes later, I would get this excruciating pain in my back and I would have to stand up. And I was like, okay, well, this feels better. Now I can sit back down. And it was just on and off and on and off and on and off. So I would say with that specific scenario, don't get frustrated with it. You have to realize that your back is doing its own thing. It's going through its own recovery, and it's going to seem weird and awkward and uncomfortable, but you got to keep pushing through it and don't let it overcome you. I'd say make as many changes within your life as you need to. This is about you and your recovery and what you need to do to make yourself better. So don't feel ashamed if you have to bring a pillow to school or wear a different purse because backpacks hurt like I did. Don't be ashamed of that. And it's part of you now. And you just have to accept that and realize that you need to do what's best for you and your body.
Thank you for answering that. That's really good advice. And I think those are the type of tips and advice that people who are about to have surgery really need to know and probably don't know that they need to know that. So, yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for asking the questions. Well, thank you guys for joining the Zoom call. I really appreciate it. You guys had such amazing questions to ask, and I'm glad I got to answer them all. And I hope that some of them were personal enough that I helped you maybe open your minds up to some stuff and get some more advice for you guys. But this was a great experience, and I hope to do this with you guys again. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.